everyone. Last time we discussed the internal environment and homeostasis. And we know to survive in the changing world, human body must maintain its internal environment at a stable state, and homeostasis must be achieved. Then, how does the body regulate homeostasis? So this time, we'll discuss the regulation of body functions. After finishing this session, students should be able to compare neuroregulation, hormonal regulation, and autoregulation. Describe the pathway of reflex with an example. Predict the possible consequences caused by disturbance of functional regulation. As we know, normal body functions require the integrated actions of cells, tissues, and organ systems. The regulation of body functions aims to maintain homeostasis. There are three types of functional regulation in the body: neuroregulation, hormonal regulation, and autoregulation. At the level of the whole body, these three types of regulation are closely associated with each other, and they work cooperatively to maintain homeostasis. First, let's look at neuroregulation. The term neuro refers to nerve or nervous system. So, neuroregulations coordinate body functions through the nervous system. But how does it work? It is achieved through neuroreflex. Then, what is reflex? When you hear the term reflex, what comes to your mind? You may think of an action that just happens, and yes, in part it is so. For example, if you inadvertently touch a hot stove, you will pull your hand away instantly. This occurs through a specific spinal reflex called flexor reflex. It protects you from being burnt. When the stimulus is something painful and potentially harmful, the automatic response is to pull away from it. So a reflex is an involuntary response to a stimulus. Involuntary means something happens without your conscious control. Just like the example I mentioned, you touch a hot stove, you pull away your hand automatically, without even thinking about it. From this example, we know the reflex is an automatic action in response to a specific stimulus. It occurs instantly and takes effect quickly. When a reflex is elicited, nerve impulses travel along a specific circuit, and this circuit constitutes the reflex arc. A simple reflex arc consists of 5 essential components: receptor, afferent nerve fiber, reflex center, afferent nerve fiber, and effector. Receptor is the sensor of the reflex arc. Receptors detect a change, the stimulus. When receptors are stimulated, impulses are generated in the afferent fibers. Afferent means conducting towards the center. Afferent nerve fiber originates from the sensory neuron. It transmits sensory impulses from the receptor to the reflex center. Reflex center receives sensory impulses from afferent fibers and then generates motor impulses. Then, the afferent nerve fiber or motor nerve fiber, originating from the motor neuron, transmits motor impulses from the center to the effector. Effector is the structure, tissue, or organ where activities occur in response to a stimulus. It is the effector which performs the characteristic action. Afferent fiber or efferent fiber may connect to the center directly. In more complicated reflexes, more neurons may be involved. For example, When arterial blood pressure rises rapidly, baroreceptors are activated and send impulses to the cardiovascular centers in the medulla of the brain. The vasoconstrictor area is then inhibited, whereas the vasodilation area is activated, leading to the dilation of blood vessels. Meanwhile, the contraction of the heart is reduced and cardiac output decreases. The overall effects of this reflex on the blood vessels and the heart bring blood pressure back to normal range. This is called baroreceptor reflex, and we'll discuss it in detail in Chapter 5 of this course. Hormonal regulation occurs through the action of hormones. What is hormone? Hormone is a chemical substance secreted from endocrine glands or endocrine cells. Hormones are released directly into capillaries and circulate in the blood throughout the body. Each hormone exerts specific effects on certain organs or tissues, and these organs or tissues are called target organs or target tissues. Some hormones, such as insulin, have many target organs. Other hormones, such as oxytocin, have only one or a few targets. In general, hormones help to regulate growth, the use of food to produce energy, resistance to stress, the pH of body fluids, fluid balance, and reproduction. Details will be discussed in Chapter 11 of this course. Nervous system and endocrine system are the two major regulating systems in the body. They work together to respond to the changes in external and internal environment. They do whatever is necessary to maintain homeostasis. Neuroregulation seems to be an instant response. It is a kind of point-to-point control. The information is conducted through electrical impulses along specific nerves. Reflex happens very quickly, and the effects don't last for a long time. On the other hand, hormonal regulation involves secretion and transport of hormones. Hormones are transported in blood and other extracellular fluid. And when hormones encounter their target cells or target tissues, they exert biological effects. Hormonal regulation takes effect a little bit slower, but lasts longer and is more widespread as compared with neuroregulation. Autoregulation is the intrinsic ability of body cells, tissues, and organs to respond to changes in the internal and external environment. Autoregulation occurs without involving neural or hormonal regulation. For example, renal blood flow is auto-regulated over a wide range of main arterial pressures. Renal blood flow is kept constant when renal arterial pressure varies from 80 to 200 mm mercuries. Only when renal arterial pressure decreases to less than 80 mm mercuries does renal blood flow start to decrease. The constancy of renal blood flow is achieved by modulating the resistance of the arterioles. Blood flow to almost all body tissues is regulated by local mechanisms, and this autoregulation is more effective in those vital organs such as the brain, the heart, and kidney. Autoregulation only affects local blood flow without inducing changes in systemic circulation. So in summary, the functions of a human body are fine-tuned or controlled by neuroregulation, hormone regulation, and autoregulation. Neuroregulation occurs through reflex arc. It happens automatically, momentarily, and quickly. The effect is brief. Hormonal regulation is through the action of hormones. It happens a little bit slower, but is longer lasting. and the effect of hormone is usually more extensive. Autoregulation is an intrinsic capacity of tissues and organs and affects local circulation. So that's all for today. Next time, we'll talk about the control systems of the body. Thank you, and see you next time.